Welcome back to the channel. Or if this is your very first time here, you're absolutely welcome. If you've been itching to build web apps with Python and you've heard the buzz about Django, then this video is tailor-made for you. Today we're diving right into Django. No fluff, no long talk, just free hands-on building. Here's exactly what we are covering in this tutorial. What is Django? How to install Django, how to start Django project, how to run your development server, understanding the project folder structure, creating your first Django app, hooking up your app into your project, a quick test to make sure everything is working. I'll be using VS Code for this, but feel free to use any IDE or text editor you love. And hey, if you find this tutorial helpful, smash that subscribe button and hit the like so you never miss out on future Python and Django tutorials. Alright, let's get straight into it. What is Django? Django is a high-level Python web framework that makes it ridiculously easy to build powerful, secure, and scalable web apps quickly. It follows the battery-included philosophy, meaning it comes loaded with features out of the box. Things like authentication, database connections, admin interface, and more. Alright, step 1. Installing Django. First, let's make sure we have Python installed. Run the following. You should see something like this. If not, hit up python.org and install it before you continue. Next, I would like to create a virtual environment for each project. Keeps your dependencies clean and organized. This is just the name of the virtual environment. You can call it anything you like. Now let's activate it. Notice how your terminal prompt changes to show this, which means you're inside your virtual environment. Now let's install Django. Run pip install Django. Boom, Django is in. You can confirm it by typing. Next up, let's start a new Django project. Still in our terminal, run. This is the name of your project folder. You can name it anything you prefer. For example, portfolio, blog, e-commerce, whatever you're building. Now let's cd into our project folder. A quick test to make sure things are working. Inside our project folder, run python manage.py run server. And boom, you'll see something like this. Copy this link, open it in your browser, and you see the famous Django rocket ship. The install worked successfully. Congratulations. Alright fam, time for a little tour. So when we run Django-admin start project, Django creates a bunch of files and folders for us. Don't worry, it might look like a lot at first, but once you know what's what, it's actually super neat. Let's break it down piece by piece. Here, this is the project root folder. It holds everything for your web project. Inside this folder, you will find the manage.py. Think of this as your project remote control. Whenever you want to interact with your Django project, like starting the server, making migrations, creating apps, you will run commands through this file. For example, python manage.py run server that starts your development server. We'll be using this file a lot. Same name as the outer folder. Why? The outer my site is your project container, while this inner my site is your project configuration package. Inside here we have got the init.py. This is a Python thing. It tells Python, hey, this folder is a package. You can import stuff from here. It's empty for now, but it's important. Setting.py. This is your project's brain. It holds all the settings for your website, like your database config, allowed hosts, installed apps, static file setup, security keys, and loads more. Anytime you need to tweak your project's behavior, you will probably do it here. The urls.py, this is your project's traffic controller. It decides which URLs go where. Say a visitor hits your site.com homepage. urls.py figures out which view to show them. You will add routes here later as your project grows. The asgi.py and the wsgi.py are like project deployment interface, while ws.py is for traditional web servers like Gonicon or UWSGI. asgi.py is for newer asynchronous servers like UVCon, used for things like WebSockets or real-time apps. We won't touch this now, so you can ignore them for beginner projects. That's it, your project skeleton. From here, we'll be creating new Django apps inside these projects, hooking them up in settings.py and routing URLs through urls.py. Every Django project starts with this structure. Once you're comfortable navigating this, you'll feel right at home in any Django project. Alright, now let's get into the fun stuff. So here is how Django works. A project is like a container for your whole website. Inside the project, you can have multiple apps, and each app handles a specific piece of your site. Imagine you're building an e-commerce site. You would have a product app to manage product listings, a cart app to handle the shopping cart, a checkout app to process payments. Each of these is a separate app, all working together inside your project. Super clean, super organized. Let's create our first app. We'll call it Pages, and it will just handle displaying simple pages for now. In our terminal, type python manage.py start app pages. Hit the enter, and boom, a new folder called Pages just appeared in our project. Let's open it up and see what Django gave us. Here's a breakdown of what's inside and what each file does. This file is for registering our models with Django's admin site. For example, if you build a post model for a blog, you can register it here to manage it through Django's built-in admin panel. We won't use this yet, but it's good to know. Apps.py. This holds the config for our app. Django uses this to track our app within the project. The class inside is auto-generated and named after the app. Models.py. This is where we define our database models. Think of models like a blueprint for our database tables. If you need to store info like blog posts, products, or user profiles, you have to create a model here. We'll come back to this later. Views.py. This is where the action happens. We'll write functions and classes here that controls what the user sees when they visit a URL. For now, we'll create a simple function-based view that returns some text or an HTML page. Test.py. This is for unit testing our app's features. It's good practice to write text, but we'll skip this for now to keep things simple. Migrations. This is a special folder that tracks changes you make to your models. Anytime we create or edit a model, Django will store a migration file here. We then migrate those changes into our database using Django's command. So that's our app. Simple, tidy, and ready for action. Okay, here's the thing. Django is smart, but it's not a mind reader. Just because we created a new app called Pages doesn't mean Django automatically knows it exists. We'll have to formally introduce it to our project, kind of like adding a new player to a team roster before a game. If you don't, Django will act like your app isn't even there. It won't look for its views, models, templates, and the rest. Here is how we tell Django about our new app. Let's head over to our project settings file. In our project structure, open my site settings.py. This file controls the global configuration for our entire project. You will see a section called installed_apps. This is a list of all the apps currently registered with our project. Now let's add our Pages app to this list. Right under our built-in Django apps, go ahead and type this. Your installed app section should look like this. Make sure you wrap the app name in quotes, add a comma at the end, and it's in lowercase. It should match the name of your apps folder exactly. What does this do? By adding Pages here, we are telling Django, hey, we've got a new app in town. Keep track of its models, migrations, and configurations. Without this step, Django won't create database tables for any models in Pages. It won't look for views in Pages, and it won't include anything from the app in your project's ecosystem. So this is a crucial move every time you create a new app. Go ahead and hit save. And just like that, your app is officially part of the project. Alright, now let's actually make something happen on screen. We are going to create a super simple text page to make sure everything is wired up properly. Step 1. Create a view. In Django, a view is basically a Python's function or class that takes a web request and returns a web response. It could return plain text, an HTML page, a JSON data, whatever you need. Let's create one now. Head into your views.py inside your Pages folder and type the following. Here we are importing the HTTP response class from Django's HTTP module. This allows us to send a simple text response back to the browser when someone visits a URL. While the home function here defines a Python function called home. Django's views always accept a parameter called request, which contains all the details about the incoming web request. Things like headers, data, and methods like get, post, etc. Here, this line sends an HTTP response containing the text, "Hello, welcome to Django," back to the browser. It's a quick and dirty way to check that everything is connected and working. That's our view. Now let's hook it up in a URL. Inside our Pages folder, create a new file called urls.py. Why do we do this? Each Django app can have its own set of URLs. This keeps things organized, especially when your site grows and you have different sections, like a blog, a shop, or a user dashboard. In our new urls.py file, type the following. Here, we're importing the path function to define URL routes. The dot means from the current directory. So we're importing our views.py file to use the home function we just created. The URL pattern list. This is a list that maps URL patterns to view functions. While here, an empty string means the root URL. The second argument, views.home, tells Django to call the home function in views.py when this URL is accessed. The name equals home gives the URL pattern a name, which makes it easy to reference elsewhere in our templates or redirects. That's our app's URL config, but Django doesn't know about it yet. We need to plug this into the project's main URL configuration. Let's connect the app's URL to the project. In our url.py file inside the My Site folder, replace or modify it to look like this. Here we're importing both path and include. The include function lets us reference other URL configurations, like the one we just made in url.py file inside pages folder. This is the built-in Django admin route. If you visit your site/admin, it takes you to the admin panel. We'll check this out in our future tutorial. This line says Django should look inside the pages.urls file for instructions on what to do. In plain terms, we are linking our app's URLs into the project's master URL list. Alright, the moment of truth. Let's go back to our terminal and ensure our dev server is still running. Then open up this link in your browser. And just like that, we've got our first Django page up and running. And there you have it, your very first Django project up and running, complete with a custom app and a test page. In our next videos, we'll start working on real-world Django apps, building our templates, connecting databases, handling forms, and a whole lot more. If you enjoyed this hands-on section and want to build awesome projects together, smash the subscribe button and like this video so you don't miss a thing. Drop a comment if you ran into any issues or have ideas for what you would love to build with Django. I read every single one. Catch you in the next one.